I was just going to the grocery store to get snacks for my wife. She was pregnant and having intense cravings for all sorts of things. Some of them were weird, like pickles dipped in mayo, but most of them were fairly normal, like saltine crackers and cookies. I had gotten almost everything on my list except for the stuff in the cookie aisle. I loaded up on a few cartons of chocolate chip cookies. Then I thought about getting a couple tubes of Pillsbury Doughboy biscuit dough. I was sure my wife would love some fresh baked biscuits to satisfy her cravings. However, there was just one problem. Some weirdo was hogging up all the space in the aisle around the Pillsbury products. I idled around him for a few minutes, expecting him to eventually move on. But as I watched him out of the corner of my eye, I realized he was much more of a nut job than I thought. At one point, I saw him pick up a tube and lick the Pillsbury Doughboy. At this point, I was completely turned over in awe at the absolute specimen I was in the presence of. He looked like an old, washed up, cracked out version of the Pillsbury Doughboy himself, but bulging out of a filthy tank top. The giant tattoo of the Pillsbury Doughboy on his shoulder and arm confirmed the unhealthy obsession. Despite all this though, I was still determined to get my hands on a can of Pillsbury biscuits, preferably one the freak hadn't licked. I slowly made my way over, hoping that he wouldn't notice me in his trance. There was one can on the shelf between us that seemed far enough away from him that I could grab it. I reached for it, but then out of nowhere, the guy snapped and swiped everything off the shelf into his cart. I started shitting bricks. As the man mean-mugged the hell out of me, I quickly backed away, accepting the fact that it wasn't worth getting into it with someone who was clearly out of their mind. I left the aisle and checked out with what I had. Then I left the store and got on the road home. I didn't think the interactions would have any other consequences for me other than a lack of biscuits. But I was horribly wrong. I was driving down the road when out of nowhere, a car sped up from behind me. It whipped around like it was going to pass, but then it matched my speed and started driving alongside me. The window rolled down, revealing the same Pillsbury Doughboy psycho.
Nothing says lovin' like something from the oven.
Before I knew it, he swerved into my lane. He almost crashed right into me and ran me off the road. I slammed the brakes to stop on the sidewalk before heading into some ditch. He then parked in front of my car, blocking me from reversing. I didn't even have time to get my bearings under me before the psycho got out of his car. I was finally at my wit's end with this guy, so to avoid us getting back on the road, I got out to confront him. Once again, I was completely unprepared for how things would go down.
What the hell is wrong with you? Don't mess with me. I'll crack a can of biscuits over your head. Why are you trying to kill me over something so stupid? Just get over it. You messed with my dough, boy.
Dude, look at you. Share some food with the rest of us, you fat piece of shit.
No, he's my doughboy. There's only room for one person to poke him deep in that stomach, and it's me, not you. I won't let you touch him.
Jesus, you really are insane. What do you really do with those tubes, huh? I bet you shove them way up.
Shut up!
I'm right, ain't I? Yeah, just get back to your car and go home, you sick, twisted, loose loser. Holy shit! Chill out, man. It's not that serious.
Ah! Somebody help me! This guy's trying to poke me with his stick! Help!
Don't, please.
Bystanders had called the cops the second they saw the road rage get out of hand, and luckily, there was a cop around the block that arrived in time. Otherwise, I'm sure that psycho would have slaughtered me in the street. I wasn't seriously injured, despite how bad it looked at the time, and thankfully, the cops caught him a few days later. It's been difficult for me to move past what happened. I still can't believe I came so close to death. And over what? Some Pillsbury Doughboy products? Sure, that stuff is good, but it's not to die for. I can't imagine what it's like in the mind of someone who's willing to kill for it. One thing's for sure, if that guy does what I think he does with those tubes, he's getting along just fine in prison. This story was inspired by a disturbing incident regarding a man who has a distinctive Pillsbury Doughboy tattoo on his right forearm and has multiple warrants for criminal offenses. The Asheville Police Department arrested the man after a verbal altercation turned into a shootout early Monday morning. According to the department, a man rammed into another man's vehicle and then began letting off with a firearm following a verbal altercation around 4 a.m. When police officers arrived on scene, they witnessed a man being chased by another vehicle. The offender fled the area. Police said no one was hurt during the incident. Shortly after, officers located the vehicle belonging to the offender, which was found to be unoccupied. After further investigation, officials said 38-year-old Tony Dale Roberts was identified as the suspect. Roberts is described as 5'11" and 165 pounds with brown hair and blue eyes. He has a tattoo of the Pillsbury Doughboy on his right forearm and a scar on the right of his neck. Roberts was taken into custody and booked into the Buncombe County Detention Center with no bond.
The worst part of living alone is never really knowing if you're actually alone. It ruins my sleep. When I'm in bed, I always hear noises coming from downstairs even though I know logically that nobody else is in the house. It sounds like someone's strolling around in my kitchen, sometimes even creeping up the stairs. I'm terrified every single night. One of the only things that seems to help me is an old childhood treat: milk and cookies. My favorite kind of cookies are the Pillsbury Doughboy ones. I just pop them in the oven, and then a few minutes later, bam! A dozen delicious fresh-baked cookies. I like to have a couple to help me relax before bed. I like to make about 2 batches a night, eating the first one downstairs, then taking the second one up to set on my nightstand. Whenever I think I hear something or get a wave of anxiety about someone being in the house, I sit up and have a Pillsbury dough cookie dunked in milk. It's the only thing that has kept me sane. However, one night, after tossing and turning after eating cookies in my sleep, I remember hearing odd noises coming from downstairs. It definitely sounded like someone or something was down there. I couldn't tell if I was actually getting robbed or if I was just hearing things. I slowly started making my way downstairs to see for myself if I was, in fact, alone in the house. I crept down the stairs, terrified of what I might see. I left the lights off to conceal my presence, though it felt like my heart was beating so loud it was going to give me away. When I reached the last step, I peeked around the corner and looked into the kitchen, and saw one of the most horrifying things ever. The fridge door was open, and some fat, white figure was shoving their face inside it and eating all my food. After all this time, there was really someone sneaking around my house. I couldn't believe I never noticed missing food or that I never had the courage to check the house at night. I was scared, but I knew I was going to have to put a stop to it once and for all. I grabbed the nearest weapon I could find on the kitchen counter and armed myself with it, just in case things got ugly.
Hey! What are you doing in my house?
Relax, I belong here.
Oh my god, it's really you. I must be seeing shit.
I'm not shit. I'm the Pillsbury Doughboy.
I can't believe this shit. Your cookies have helped my anxiety so much.
That's how I roll. You must be my biggest fan. How adorable.
I saw you bend over my fridge and, well, I could see your donuts. Anyway, why are you eating all my food, Mr. Doughboy?
Don't believe everything you see, weirdo.
What kind of deal is this? I spend all my money on your cookies just so you can eat the rest of my food? You need to get the hell out of my house and never come back.
You can't kick me out. I belong here. Do you get it?
No, I don't. Now get out of my house or I'm calling the cops.
Do not piss me off.
Stay back. Don't come any closer.
There's nowhere to run.
Get away from me.
Why?
I just want to go back to my room.
Do you want to play?
I'm very confused.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Stay away from me. Please, don't hurt me.
I don't want to hurt you. I just want to roll you to your grave.
I bet you won't laugh when I poke you this time!
I cried myself to sleep last night. I was so ashamed and sorry for what I did to that poor Pillsbury Doughboy, but at least I could finally sleep soundly for the first time in ages. I imagined he wouldn't even think about coming back to my house after that, if he was even still alive. Strangely, though, there was this nagging feeling of sadness that I couldn't shake, even in the morning. Then I went out of my room and discovered my son's lifeless body in a pool of blood at the bottom of the stairs. That damn doughboy wanted revenge, so he took it out of my son and dumped him in my house. I called the police, ready to tell them everything, only for them to put me in handcuffs and take me away. No matter what I told them, they kept telling me there was no Pillsbury Doughboy and that the blood was on my hands. I'll never believe them. I know what I saw. I know what I did.
My next-door neighbor makes my skin crawl. She's this ghoulish old woman that follows everyone around, and since I live so close to her, she gives me the most attention. Nobody likes her because she's a total Karen, but they don't know the half of it. She likes to follow me outside when I put my trash out. She even goes through my garbage, ensuring all the bags are tied properly and the recycling is sorted. The only reason everyone lets her get away with what she does is that she's super old. So I guess we're all just waiting for her to drop dead. Unfortunately, that day can't come soon enough. Ever since her husband passed away, which was probably the happiest day of that poor bastard's life, she thinks she's the neighborhood's hot new cougar. My bedroom windows just so happen to face her house, so I see her a lot when I'm going in and out of my room. I've tried to ignore her as she's not technically committing any crimes, but she just gives me these weird stares every time I pass through. I know she's just a retired old woman with nothing to do in her life, but I wish she would find something else to occupy herself that wasn't me. However, as time kept passing, things only got worse. I came to realize that she was basically always watching me, so I made sure she knew I was aware by making direct eye contact with her for a few seconds. This was a mistake. She took it as a sign to take it even further. These days, she tends to sit there with a whole plate of cookies, slowly eating every single one of them and watching me like a perv. One night, everything finally boiled over with her. I was sitting in my living room, trying to watch TV, but mostly just avoiding her line of sight, when there was a knock at the door. It was late enough that I instinctively knew it was my neighbor. I didn't know what she wanted, but I knew it wasn't going to be good, so I quickly turned off the TV to kill the light. I sat there for a few seconds before there was another knock, and then that horrid voice of hers came through the front window. I looked over and saw her staring at me. She was showing off all her rotten teeth and holding a plate full of cookies. Then she made a gesture at me to open the door. Lord knows I didn't want to, but I knew it was the only way to get her to leave. When I opened the door, she thrusted a plate of cookies at me. She said she made them from scratch, but they were unmistakably store-bought Pillsbury Doughboy cookies. Regardless, she wanted to share them with her neighbors as some kind of olive branch. I accepted them, wondering why the old hag was being nice all of a sudden, but then what happened next threw that out the window.
Thanks! I'll return the plate tomorrow. Anyways, have a good night.
Wait! Aren't you forgetting something?
No. What is it?
Come now, you have to try one!
I'm actually good for now. I just ate dinner, so I'm kinda getting ready for bed now. I'll be sure to try one in the morning, though.
But how else will I know if I did a good job? Don't make me wait until morning. My old heart can't handle that much anxiety.
Alright. Just a bite.
That's fine. Just one bite is all it takes.
Against my better judgment, I took a cookie and ate a decently sized bite to avoid being rude. For the most part, it was okay. but there was a weird, kind of bitter aftertaste. Still, it was good enough for me to fake a positive reaction and get her off my doorstep. Once she was finally gone, I left the rest of the cookies out on the counter and went to bed. I knew she'd be watching me, and I didn't want her to think I was lying earlier. I saw her staring at me across the way, smiling like always, but this time, for some reason, raising 2 thumbs up at me. I didn't know what she meant by that, so I shrugged it off and got in bed. I was able to sleep, but a few hours later, I woke up with the worst stomach pain of my life. My whole body was convulsing, sending an unstoppable surge of vomit out of me. I tried to roll off the bed and get to the bathroom for what I knew was coming next, but I physically couldn't bring myself to even crawl. All I was able to do was reach up and grab my phone off my bedside table and call 911. By the time the paramedics found me, I felt like a towel that had been wrung out by a bodybuilder, with all the fluids in my body completely expelled. I was taken to the hospital and treated, where I of course survived, and got to find out the culprit of my suffering. Rat poison! I told the police the test batch of cookies my neighbor gave me, and sure enough, there was enough rat poison in them to kill a room full of people. If I'd had just one whole cookie, I probably would have died while that wretched woman watched. I'm more than glad she was arrested and finally removed from my life. This story was inspired by a disturbing incident regarding a 72-year-old woman who was arrested for mailing a package of Pillsbury Doughboy cookies laced with mouse poison and laxative to a Stillwater resident. Stillwater police charged Joanne O. Jones of Slingerlands with second-degree reckless endangerment, a misdemeanor, for allegedly sending the tainted cookies in March. A lengthy investigation revealed the woman sent the snack. The recipient of the package did not consume the cookies and contacted police. Jones recently surrendered to police. She was released pending a future town court appearance.